use silk fabric in our home. Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. Well, in this video, we're talking about silk fabrics, and we are going to talk about how silk fabrics are made and how durable they are and what the look and feel is of silk fabrics, and where are some places that might make sense to use silk fabric in our home. So let's get started. Silk is considered a protein fiber made from larvae from the silkworm spinning its cocoon. And after that is done, it's unreeled, and those are the fibers that are then made into yarn, and the yarn eventually made into threads and everything woven into a silk fabric. And silk fabric is considered moisture absorbent, meaning it's really great with absorbing dye colors. And silk fabric can be dyed from the very beginning, where it's just still in the fiber stage, or when it's in the yarn stage, or even at the end when it's a piece of fabric. And silk can be just dyed a nice color, or other types of fabrications can be added to it, embroidery or anything else that can be applied to give silk fabric some different types of textures and dimensions. And I was fortunate enough to go to China years ago, and one place we went to was a silk fabric textile factory, and we saw the process from the very beginning with the silkworms all the way through the thread making process and to the ultimate destination of creating fabrics. And so that was a really neat thing to experience that and to kind of see how that process really worked. And then we can think about two different ways to describe silk fabrics and fabrics in general. One way is just through our visual interpretation. And we can look at a silk fabric and notice that it has kind of a sheen to it, kind of has this shininess to it, and kind of this smooth look and kind of this luxurious look to it. The other way to describe fabric is how it feels to us, how it feels on our hands. And that's what's referred to as fabric hand. And so when we think about silk fabric, we can say it has a smooth hand to it, or maybe even a supple hand to it. And it has a nice drapeability to it. Or depending on the weight, how heavy that fabric is, we could say the fabric has a kind of a heavier weight to it or a lighter weight to it. And silk fabrics have some natural qualities that make it really durable. One of them is that it's actually very strong fabric compared to how it looks, that it looks very luxurious, but it's actually a very strong and durable fabric. It's also soil resistant. And another interesting thing about silk fabrics that has to do with flammability is that it self-extinguishes. So if in the unfortunate event that the fabric catches on fire, it actually self-extinguishes and goes out on its own. And then what are some less desirable qualities of silk fabrics? Well, one of them for sure is that it's more expensive. And the other thing to think about is that it can be prone to abrasion. So you need to think about that and decide where would be an appropriate place to have silk fabric. And I think the most important factor to think about is that silk fabric can deteriorate and degrade if it is in direct sunlight. So where are some places in our home that it might be nice to use silk fabrics? One would be in draperies because of its hand and its drapeability and its kind of luxurious look to it. That creates a really beautiful look when you're using it as a drapery. And the only thing I would think about is the sun. And so making sure that your fabric is lined on the side that is facing the sun, and also that you may want to think about using silk fabrics in a room where those windows, maybe like a north-facing window, doesn't get direct sunlight, so it doesn't hurt the fabric. And then as a side note, when I was working for a designer, one thing that she did to help protect a silk drapery fabric was she lined the edges, those parts of the fabric of that drapery that would be exposed to the sunlight, in a synthetic fabric, so a banding of a synthetic fabric, so it protected that fabric from being exposed to the sunlight. So I thought that was very clever. Another place where you may find silk fabrics or silk yarns is maybe in an area rug. And sometimes you can even find area rugs that have both wool fibers, wool yarns, as well as silk yarns. And you can always tell the silk yarns in the little areas that are a little bit shinier because of the sheen that silk naturally has to it. And you could use silk fabrics on a piece of furniture. I would kind of think about using it on a piece of furniture that's maybe a little bit more formal and is more lightly used. So it's not like your everyday used piece of furniture. Plus, you would want to make sure that that piece of furniture is not in direct sunlight. And another way to use silk in your home is just through a trim or a fringe or some sort of banding that you would have sewn around pillows or on the edges of draperies or other types of window coverings such as a valance or as tie backs, anything like that where it would add just kind of this special look and kind of luxurious look. And we can also use silk fabric in smaller areas of our home, in a throw pillow, just in smaller little areas. So we're not spending a whole bunch of money, but we're also creating a luxurious look and as well using a fabric that's actually pretty durable. And when we're talking about how to wash silk fabrics, I would definitely follow the instructions given on the fabric label. Some silk fabrics can be machine washed, some can be hand washed, but then some fabric manufacturers recommend taking those fabrics to a dry cleaner. So I'd love to find out from you if you have silk fabrics in your home and where you have them in your home, how you use them. So please let us know in the comments. And if you have any other ideas or any other thoughts about using silk fabrics in our home, please share your design ideas and suggestions in the comments as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.